So, welcome to the first episode of the Midwest Sports Podcast.
Yes, very mid.
Very
West.
mid. Well, nobody covers any of the Midwestern teams, and minus, the teams that actually win in Colorado. All those teams are mid anyway, so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't get the national media love until they're in
Until
the
now.
finals, I guess.
Until
hmm
now. Look,
Yeah.
be good and more people will cover you is how it is, unless you're in the Midwest and then it's be good and then people still think that you're not going to repeat as a champion.
hmm Yeah. Somewhere out there, someone's writing an article about how LeBron's going to lead the Lakers to a championship in 2024.
I mean, there's already hundreds of them everywhere, just like
hmm
how the Avs are never going to get another Stanley Cup, because
Yeah.
goaltending and health, like we don't have a captain, but whatever, we'll get into that later. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's for
welcome.
another day.
Welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself? You get to go first.
Okay. All right. Well, my name's Conrad, and I'm originally from Minnesota, living in Colorado now. It'll be 8 years in August, so like just next month. Grew up cheering for the Timberwolves, the Twins, the Wild, and the Packers. So most Minnesota sports, but not the Vikings. Fuck the Vikings, if we're being honest. That's probably going to turn some people away immediately, but I don't care. My dad was a Packers fan, uh, and just kind of had me cheer for them. So grew up cheering for them and still do to this day. Two Super Bowls in my lifetime that were won, three that they had been in. Ironically enough, the one they lost was to Denver. So probably, I'm sure that'll come up in conversation in the future. But yeah, Packers are probably, they just have a special place in my heart. Just, you know, family ties with my dad being a fan. So the Twins, I started going to games when I was really young, back at the Metrodome for those Minnesota people when they still played there. Um, Always liked them, and there is the notable thing about they haven't won a playoff game in like 20 years, and I think they've lost 18 straight playoff games, which is like impossible. So that's the thing. And they're currently on a 5 game losing streak right now. So that's also fun. The Timberwolves are probably my favorite Minnesota sports team. I've been a fan of them my entire life. Grew up watching KG and Stephon Marbury. Those are the earliest years I can remember. Got to go to a bunch of games when I was a kid. Um, Lucky enough, one of my uncles' work had season tickets, so I sat in like second row at half court like once a year every year on my birthday. And I'm I'm one of those people that kind of sweat out the really terrible years of Darko Milicic and Alexei Shved and others who you probably don't even know. But yeah, the Timberwolves are they're probably my favorite team of like the teams that I cheer for. I love basketball and yeah, just super invested in that. And then the Wild, I've probably seriously been watching them for like the last 9 years, I guess. And they always seem to lose in the first or second round of the playoffs. So first round being more common. So you can just chalk it up as just uh just a shit show since I've been born, basically. The Twins won the World Series in 1991. That was their second World Series. And that was like 4 months before I was born. So since I've been alive, none of the major men's Minnesota sports teams have done anything as far as championships. So that's my history of sports.
So I'm Jared, and I like winning teams. So I'm from Colorado. I've always lived here in Colorado, never anywhere else. And I've been a diehard fan of all of the Colorado teams because this is where I grew up. And, you got to root for the home team, even if they are the Rockies, unfortunately. But luckily, the Avs are good, and the Nuggets are good, and the Broncos will be good again. And we've won more than the Viking have. So fuck the Vikings. So,
Yes. Fuck
but
the
I
Vikings.
have that outlier of Green Bay too. My grandfather was a big Cleveland Browns fan when they were still like the original Cleveland Browns before the move to Baltimore. And when they moved
Hmm.
over to Baltimore, he's like, this, they're not the Browns. I need a new team. So he started liking the Packers. He started cheering for the Packers. And then, like I became a person in the late 90s. So as he started cheering for the Packers, like I grew up with him liking the Packers. And like he's one of those fools who paid money for a piece of paper saying he's an owner of the Packers.
Mm,
Yeah,
legend.
he's one of those fools. I will be
Legend.
too whenever he gives it to me. But uh,
Yeah, yeah.
NFL owner right here, future NFL owner.
You can attend the ownership meetings every year.
So I can listen to Matt Murphy's fucking stupid mouth flap in the wind.
Mike Murphy, right?
Mike Murphy, yeah. See, that's how
Yeah,
little I
yeah.
care
He's
about what he has to say. That guy's a fucking bum. Anyway,
a
fuck that guy. Him and Gutekunst are just blech. Fuck those guys. They ruined the
yeah.
Packers. They're clowns. Anyway, I grew up with the Packers. I grew up to watch Brett Favre's twilight before he decided to retire and unretire, retire and unretire. And I grew up with like Aaron Rodgers as a Packers fan. They won a Super Bowl, and that was like my big first team championship to see happen. So
Hmm.
Packers are always going to have a
Yeah.
special place in my heart alongside the Broncos, who I got to watch win a Super Bowl. And like I grew up with them stinking pretty much. Like they were in the championship game in I believe like 2004 against the Steelers. I don't think it was 2004 actually. I forget, but it was early when I was like a young kid and I started to like appreciate what sports were. And then they stunk
Hmm.
for like 5 straight years of just being terrible. And then we got Tim Tebow, and then we got Peyton Manning, and then we won a Super Bowl, and now we stink again. So
Hmm.
it's been a
Hmm.
roller coaster, but at
Was
least I've got my two,
was that
teams that matter. With the
was that
Avalanche and the
was
Nuggets. So I've got my teams to win.
yeah, yeah. The two, yeah. Those are well, the Nuggets obviously that's the fresh championship, and that was
I
50 years in the making.
I would argue
Um,
that they're both fresh, because
yeah.
it's been a year removed from a Stanley Cup. We would have went again if we could have been healthy and figured out how to not just be intimidated by Seattle. But it wasn't our year this year. It'll be next year. It's okay. We'll bring one home for Landy.
I think I just think because they've already won one or two at this point before that one, like I just feel like the Nuggets one is just feels so much
Oh yeah, it
like
does.
bigger,
Well,
you know. Just like
like yeah, the Avs the Avalanche that was number 3, but it was the first one for these new like younger generation of players. I think the
sure,
oldest
sure.
guy on the
Hmm.
team was Johnson, who just signed for way too much money in Buffalo. But like I love Eric Johnson, but he ain't worth. What are they paying him, like 5 or 6 million a year now? Anyway, like
Oh wow.
the the amount of time that it took for the Nuggets to get here, and like the amount of heartbreaking playoff losses. Like I really thought the bubble year was it. Like we were in the finals, or the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers, and I just thought that we had it that year. And it just wasn't our
Mm,
year, and it stung so bad. And then last year to get whooped out by the Warriors, who went on to win it, it's like, oh, that could have been us. And finally, just and
hmm.
to do it the way that we did it, like we weren't like squeaking by, winning in buzzer beater fashion. No, we were obliterating teams. So like you don't sweep somebody in the Western Finals and not say that that was like a great postseason run.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yep.
going 8-1 in the last 9 games of the playoffs is pretty hard to do. So I think that was a pretty great way to end it. It just feels so good to finally be a champion there.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
just
I can imagine. I can imagine.
and like Joker, man, that guy is he's a lovable goon. Like I'm just happy for him that he got his championship, even if it is just work to him. I'm like him and Murray.
Hmm.
I'm happy they got it. I'm happy they finally
Yeah.
got that championship done and over with. Now they can just focus on becoming that dynasty, like the 2010s Warriors, or who's a big dynasty before them. I want to say Miami, but like not really.
The Lakers,
Definitely the Lakers early two. Was there anything between the like early 2000s Lakers and in the
the
Warriors
Heat,
though? But
the
like,
Heat, if you want to call that a dynasty. I mean,
how
they went to like four finals in a row, didn't they, or
how
something
many
like
did
that?
they
And
how many did they
they won
win?
they won two. They won two in a row,
I
I
I
think, and they lost the first. They lost the first year. They won the two middle years, then they lost the fourth year.
like I don't know if you could call that a dynasty, because for it to be a
Yeah,
dynasty, you
because
gotta
the
win.
Spurs. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I guess like the Lakers won two in a row in the late 2000s, but they also won some in the early 2000s. I would give them the team of the 2000s probably. I mean,
They
obviously the
are the team
landscape.
of the 2000s without a doubt. They're the team of the 2000s. Like
Yeah, the
think about
lands.
who's the first player that comes to mind when you think of 2000s basketball for you that's not on the Wolves.
Kobe Bryant.
Exactly. Like one
Yeah.
of the like it's either Kobe Bryant or Shaq.
Hmm.
Cause like
Yeah, for
Shaq
sure.
too, because he's such a big personality. Like the man, it just keeps making more excuses to be rich. Like every time he turns around, he has another like new commercial or new show or whatever he's doing now. It's ridiculous. Like there's a story of, I saw it on TikTok. There's a story of like they were watching a game, the TNT crew. That's where Shaq is, right? TNT, or is he on the ESPN crew?
Yeah, he's on TNT.
I
Yeah.
forget which. I never follow who's where anymore. But there's a guy talking about like they're watching a game and people are like, someone was like, "Do you guys talk about the games while you're watching?" It was like, "No, sometimes Shaq's just on the phone like making more money during commercial breaks and stuff on this show." So it's like that guy never will go away. But like,
Yeah.
name another player that had an impact of either of those two guys who like won in the 2000s.
Yeah. I mean, the only other one that comes to mind would be like Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, like that's because those Spurs teams were good.
Yeah. And they obviously had a bunch of great players on those teams too. But
Mm-hmm.
like Tim Duncan, I feel like is one of those guys too, where it's like he kind of backed up his play by like winning rings, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, no, like that was a good team, and I think like them
Yeah.
plus the Lake, like the Western Conference has been dominant since the Bulls faded away.
Right.
Like think of the East. You just can't think of any long term success other than Miami going to those four finals. But even then, they didn't.
Right.
They only won two of them. There's no like
And if we want to shout out,
the Cavs maybe, like the
I was going to say, if we want to shout out our friend Ben, who's a Celtics fan, you could say that they have been consistent. Now they've only won one championship in like the last however many, I like
mhm.
they won in 2008, I think, with KG and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. But like,
Yeah.
I feel like those teams were always making noise in the playoffs, but like they either since then they've either lost in the finals or like the Eastern Conference Finals. They just haven't
Hmm.
like they've always been around. Like there's been general success there, but they haven't
Well, look at what
obviously reached the
happened this
ultimate
year.
goal more than
They
once.
almost pulled it out against the Heat, and it would have been their redemption year to like finally go back to the finals. And Jimmy Butler's like, gotta feed him those
Hmm.
L's. If there's two things
Yeah.
we can agree on here, it's fuck the Vikings and fuck Boston.
Yes.
I
Fuck
don't care
Boston.
what league you're in, fuck Boston.
And it's annoying when their fans complain about like heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. It's like, how many championships have you clowns
Especially
won
like
over the
Patriots
years?
fans, man. Patriots
The
fans are the
Patriots.
worst. They're the most irritating. I can't stand it
Hmm.
when like
Hmm.
Patriots fans are like, "Oh, Mac Jones, buzz." Like you just got 20 years of the greatest quarterback of all time, and you're gonna
Hmm.
complain that the guy who replaced him is mid, and not hot
Right.
garbage. Like Matt Patricia's out of there. He's gonna bounce back. The guy's not washed. He's 20, what, 24, 25?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, get real.
And that is how you run an organization, though, by giving your quarterback a top 10 defense every year so you can go to the Super Bowl and win. Wow.
Exactly. It's wild. It's like,
That would have been nice.
well, you see all these quarterbacks, like other than Patrick Mahomes this last year, all the quarterback, like the quarterback has not won the super. Well, I guess Matthew Stafford, I think, did it too. But they have like they don't win making a certain over a certain amount. I think it's like 12% of their team's salary cap or something like that. If they exceed that number, they don't win Super Bowls. And it's like it's
Sure.
Brady's like career earnings is in the 300 millions for playing as long as he did. That's pennies. That's pennies and peanuts. Like
Mhm.
he played for 20 what god math. He played for over 20 years and he only made 300 million from his salaries. And now you've got guys who are like look at Herbert's new deal with a team that's like
Mhm.
not very good in the Chargers, and now he's making like 260 million dollars in over the next 5 years. That team's gonna stink. They're not gonna be able to pay anybody. They're not gonna pay Austin Eckler. There goes their backfield game. And all that
Mhm.
defensive talent they drafted this year is gonna be due up when the hard part of Herbert's contract is due.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a tough call because like you think like ideally, when if you think about yourself, like you're getting your first, like you're coming off your rookie deal, like you want to kind of set yourself up for financial stability and success right away. And so it's like, well, shit, do I take like, do I already in my like first real contract, like take a pay cut to try to win Super Bowls? Or do I want to make that money?
well,
That's got to be like such a tough decision.
I
And I'm
hate
sure their
saying
agents are
this
just like,
to my core. This is gonna hurt, but I look at what Patrick Mahomes did. He won a Super Bowl on his rookie deal, something none of these other quarterbacks have done, with the exception of Joe Burrow. None of them have even gotten there.
yeah, hmm
I guess Jalen Hurts did it. Like he got there on his rookie deal, but like he
hmm
signed a new extension. What, 2 months after that or something? Versus Burrow, who still hasn't gotten an extension. Which
yeah,
there's no chance he gets back on a practice field without signing an extension. There's no chance.
dude, he just got hurt.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
it's a calf strain. He's going to be out for like 3 or 4 weeks. But
Jesus.
you look at
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes did. Patrick Mahomes is like seventh in terms of who's making what this year. Like he's up
hmm
there, but he's not squeezing every single penny out of his team. And he's got such a long deal that where he's making the biggest deal in North American sports right now in terms of like cash guaranteed. It's like
hmm
470 something million guaranteed or some like ridiculous nonsense like that. And then like he's only taken just enough to be in that top range of quarterbacks, but he's not squeezing every penny out of there. And they're gonna keep
Right.
somehow magically finding 9 rookies to play on a deal that he can win with, and that's what's gonna work for them. He's gonna win at least 2 more Super Bowls on this deal, right?
I would think so.
I would
Yeah.
hope
And
not,
then,
but he's gonna.
yeah, dude, he's just too good, I think. And it's one of those like plug anybody in there, and as long as they can get open, he's gonna find them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look at like
But
MVS. He
then
had such a big role in that.
I know
Like
in the
couldn't
playoffs for sure,
couldn't catch a
he
cold
showed
from
up.
Rodgers. Shows up to Mahomes. Suddenly his hands are glue. Right? Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of Rodgers, he just took like a $35 million pay cut with the
Yes.
Jets.
Yes.
And
Exactly. I
I
wanted to
learned,
talk about that too.
and through this, so before we get into that, like through hearing about this, I also learned that I'm pretty sure when he was playing, like when the year they won the Super Bowl, he was making less than Mark Sanchez. I'm pretty
He
sure
was on his. I don't think he was on. He couldn't have been on his rookie deal when they won the
he
Super
wasn't,
Bowl. But he wasn't
but
like
he
a
was
big
still
name
underpaid.
QB yet.
No, because you got to think like so. How long are the rookie deals? Is it 4 years
Well, that
or five?
that was back before they got like super standardized, right? Because like Matthew Stafford got
Sure.
drafted in what was it like he got drafted right before the new CBA hit, where they could pay like $60 million to Matthew Stafford on his rookie deal, versus
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So I'd have to pull up like the contract he won the Super Bowl on to like take a look at, but he was not making top QB money in 2020.
No, because he sat. I mean, if like let's say his rookie deal was like 4 years. I mean, he sat 3 of those years. So then, if that was how long it was, like, so then the fourth year he's starting, and they went like what? Did they go like 7-9 or something like that? Or
Mm-hmm.
it was like they. I don't
They
think they
weren't
were
good.
not no. And then he had to get paid. So of course, like, well, he hasn't really done at that point anything super notable to, you know, be worthy of a like a top like top QB deal at that time. And so then he just the next year he goes and they lose in the wild card round to the Cardinals on a no call face mask. Remember that when he fumbled it? He's
Yeah.
like getting sacked and the guy grabbed the face mask and the Cardinals took it. That was a crazy game. I think that it was like one of the highest scoring games ever. I think like Kurt Warner was quarterbacking the Cardinals at the time. But then to go from like, him starting, going from like a below 500 year to the next year making the playoffs, and then the year after that winning it all. Like, yeah, that's an ideal timeline for what you want for your starting quarterback. But then to circle back, it's like he took the pay cut with the Jets, but I don't think he would have done that for Green Bay.
I
There's just
mean,
no fucking way, dude. He was
look
so
at
pissed off at them drafting Love in the first round after an NFC Championship appearance when like they just needed like somebody who could stop the run or somebody who could like do anything on offense in a playoff game besides Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, and they go and draft Jordan Love. It's like after that, dude, there was no chance he was doing anything out to help them pay wise.
well, like how big of a deal did he sign with them before all of this happened? Like he was supposed to make like 59 million in 1 year, and then he
Yeah,
gets
it was it.
traded, and then immediately takes a pay cut. Like he was doing it out of spite.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. Yeah, but I'm honestly like I'm hoping that, and this is something we'll kind of talk about too as the season rolls on. But we're for the audience out there listening, the like three of you that will probably this will ever reach. Um, we're definitely both Aaron Rodgers fans, and we will definitely be following him this next season, and rooting for them when they're not playing our teams. So yeah,
So
that's just going to be something that we'll kind of go through every week and just kind of track how he's doing. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy he took the pay cut. I wish him nothing but success. I think the Packers fucked him over for a decade by not doing anything to help him. So, and he carried that team for so many years, which was notable because when he broke his collarbone
they
2 times, like
missed the
within
playoffs.
that stretch, like, well, the first time they did, but he came back in the last week against the Bears and just like had that crazy like Cobb was wide open,
Oh
like
yeah.
on like 4th and 2 or whatever.
Hmm.
But the next time they were like 4-1 and then he broke it. And then we had fucking Brett Hundley come in and that dude
Uh,
was
we
terrible.
don't talk about Brett Hundley.
And
No, we don't talk
yeah,
about that.
he was terrible.
Rodgers this year, his cap hit is less than Zach Wilson's.
Jesus.
Zach's Will
Oh,
Zach Wilson's pay or cap hit is like 9.6 million in that ballpark, and
hmm
Aaron Rodgers is 8.8, I think, in that ballpark.
wow.
That's
Wow, they're
after the
paying.
pay cut. They're paying Zach Wilson more than Aaron Rodgers right now
Wow. Well,
in terms
he'll
of what
earn
the
that
cap hit.
contract, and yeah, he'll earn that contract in the preseason when he plays all 5 games that they have, or
The,
4, I guess, Hall of Fame game, and then the other
well,
3.
let's talk about like what's going on in the preseason and like what's going to come up a little bit.
Sure.
I want to get into that because we got the Hall of Fame game coming up here in
hmm
about what 4 days. So like, there's no chance Rodgers is on the field for the Hall of Fame game,
No.
right? That's gonna be
If he,
it's gonna be against the Browns on that crappy turf in the middle of
yeah,
Ohio.
yeah,
Like
yep,
no, like if there's any weather at all, like nobody, like you're gonna cancel that game. Like that game means so little to like it's just a pain for everyone involved, right? There's no chance he
hmm
steps on that field. Like I would be surprised if he wasn't just in uniform so people can take their pictures and that's it. Like he probably's not even bringing his helmet out there.
right, dude. If he does step on the field, someone's getting fired. I hope anyway.
Honestly,
Oh my god.
well, I mean, with what I've been hearing, it sounds like some people should be fired at Nathaniel Hackett. Just saying.
Ooh, ooh.
I've got some beef
So
with
you,
Nathaniel Hackett. I've
so
got
you're,
I've got some
you're
I've got some opinions that I am in agreement with.
with Sean Payton, huh?
Yes, like
Yeah.
I was so happy when I heard we were getting Hackett, but boy, he just couldn't hack it. That guy was so bad. Like
Oh, that's
I
great.
I'm seeing all these personalities around the media like ESPN and stuff. Like Stephen A was talking about it and he was saying that he liked it and then these two clown shows that are he's talking to both are like you keep that in the locker room, right? You keep it in the locker room. You don't let it come out. You don't let any of that get into what's going on in the media. Like they're saying he's letting his TV personality run what he's doing a little bit as a coach. And I just think that this league has gotten so fucking soft. All right. That he's saying it because there needs to be a culture change in Denver. Like if it really was that bad, if it was that embarrassing, these players need to be publicly embarrassed. Like this shit ain't gonna fly this year. That's what I think. There's no way
Yeah.
that he would do that unless he didn't think that like this is what's gonna happen. You fuck up, I'm calling you out, and I don't care who
Yeah.
hears it. You do it my way or you don't do it. Like this is what's gonna happen. The culture has to change here because the Broncos last year, that was a defeated team.
Yes.
That team was defeated entirely.
Is it a hot take to say that this is the kind of like I want this out of Matt LaFleur in reference to Joe Barry? Like kick that guy to the fucking curb, dude. Take him off your
I want Matt
squad.
LaFleur to do anything.
Honestly, yeah. That
Matt
this
LaFleur's
and
Packers are the softest Packers that have ever been on Lambeau Field.
I mean, look at the game last year against the Lions. Like Rasul Douglas goes at like it's a fourth down field goal attempt, and he just goes and like kicks the ball away from the center or the long snapper. It's like, what are you doing? You're a week away from a playoff game potentially, and you're pulling this shit. And then it's like penalized. And then what's his name? The rookie from out of Georgia last year when he like kind of got heated and like shoved somebody or something or whatever he did. It's like
Oh
you guys are
yeah.
fucking clowns, dude. Like rein your team in. Yeah,
I,
dude. I'm
don't
sure
think that's
we'll be.
I think it's a hot take because this league can't handle it. But I agree with you completely. His Packers are soft. Like that team does not play with life.
No, no. And then
So,
when you show up week one and Joe Barry doesn't have Jair Alexander shadowing Justin Jefferson and he goes for like 200 yards.
yep. That was
Hello.
ridiculous. That
Hello.
you talk about the Watson drop as the look at how the season's gonna go.
Dude, that was the
I
tone
kind of
setter.
feel that way about what Justin Jefferson did from that game in week one last year. Like I feel that in two ways. Like he did it to everybody. It wasn't just the Packers.
Oh God. Yeah.
That guy was unstoppable, right? But like I was like, oh, so we're gonna keep the clown defense around, huh? Like we're gonna keep doing this silly shit on the football field. I think like that was to me that game was kind of evident of what the defense was gonna be like that year.
Yeah.
And it kind of was. It was just like they would play well for a while and then just do something boneheaded like that.
Yep. Yep. Honestly, Joe Barry's best coordinated game, I think, was the playoff game against San Fran. Like 20, not this last season, but the season before.
21, yeah.
Because it was if it wasn't for the blocked because I didn't they score on special teams?
They
Like I don't
scored on a
know.
blocked punt.
Yeah,
That
because
was
like
the
they
only
didn't. Yeah,
touchdown that they scored was on the blocked
that they
punt.
got. Yeah, and the defense didn't allow their offense to score all game.
The
And
conditions
then,
were set for a Green Bay win, and our special
dude,
teams blew it.
yeah. Well, that first drive, I remember that first drive when Rodgers just marched it down the field. I was like, oh, this game's fucking over. Like it was that easy that against that defense. Like, are you kidding me? And then the rest of the game, just like, I mean, and that's where you get
Like,
the people that wanted Rodgers to leave, being like, well, look, he's like forcing it to Devontae when
who
he's
else is
got
he gonna
Lazard
throw
open
to
in the
on that
middle,
team?
and just like, yeah, he's gonna try to get it to the guy that he can rely on at least
If
to
you have
catch
the
a
best
ball.
receiver in football, which is Devonte Adams, right?
Yes,
You
yes.
don't you don't for like you don't not trust that guy. He's gonna get the job done.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Devonte Adams is not why they lost that game.
No,
Because
it's special teams.
at the end of the day, like the blocked punt, special teams as well. Devonte Adams doesn't play on the punt protection team.
No. Wonder
So
you have to remember right before half, Mason Crosby missed a field goal
that's
too.
true, yeah. That would have been a
Yeah,
difference maker too. So
yeah. So I mean, I feel like we'll just do an episode one day, and the whole episode will just be Packers playoff losses since winning the Super Bowl. Like we'll just go through each year and like talk about each game because man, there is some
I'm gonna add a hot
heartbreak
take to
there.
this too. I'm just gonna say not just the Packers heartbreaking losses, but Aaron Rodgers' heartbreaking losses. The Jets are gonna get knocked out
Yes,
in a heartbreaking fashion this
dude.
year. I'm calling it.
Oh man, I want to agree with you, but I so badly want him to just like run train through the fucking AFC, show all these young cats like, hey, motherfuckers, I'm still here, and I just want him to get back to the big one. That'd be
Look
so
at
fucking awesome.
if you look at who like New York, they say everyone's talking about Aaron Rodgers going to a 7-10 team, right? And saying that'll be enough to get them in and make them a contending team like that. Like Aaron Rodgers can make up those 6 wins or 5 wins or however many you need to be competitive in that tough AFC East division. But look
Definitely.
at who they beat. Only 2 of those teams that they beat were winning teams.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
when they like people are saying like, "Oh, it's a championship defense." Is it? Like we'll see, but I don't know, man. Are
Yeah,
these
yeah,
receivers as good as people say that? I think Garrett Wilson's going to be a stud. But other than Garrett
dude.
Wilson, who
Yeah.
else is he throwing to on that team? Randall Cobb's dinosaur ass? No.
Lazard, I guess. Again,
But Lazard's the
yeah.
same guy he was in Green Bay. Like
I
it's
know,
the same thing.
I know.
Except for instead of Devonte Adams that they had in Green Bay, now it's Garrett Wilson, a much younger, more raw player who's not as a refined route runner as Devonte Adams is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
and
I don't
it's
know,
with a
man.
worse O line. Aaron Rodgers has never played with a bad O line until right now. Like there's been
Yeah,
some not great O
yeah.
lines, but he's never been on a bad one. And the Jets have a bad O
Hmm.
line. With
Hmm.
like Brees Hall is gonna get hurt again, and
Yeah, I
that's why
just
Delvin
yeah,
Cook is flirting with New York right now because they know they're gonna need somebody
yeah,
else who can tote a rock.
yeah. You might be right, and I mean, in true Rogers fashion, it would be some let down by the defense or special teams.
I would love
Um,
to see Josh Allen and the Bills flatten the New York Jets in the divisional round in Buffalo
oh,
on their
dude,
way to a Buffalo Cincinnati championship game.
oh, dude, that would as fun as that would be. Just Josh Allen does not show up in the playoffs, so
This is it. This is it for them. Josh
yeah,
Allen. This is his prove it year. This is his. You're
yeah,
that guy, or you're that not that guy year. I think
yeah. I
the
mean, I should
because
roll. I'm gonna get people probably calling me out for this, so I'm gonna roll back that he did show up in a game, and that was the game against the Chiefs when they scored. There was like 100 points scored in the last minute and a half of the game. He showed up in that one, but in the other ones he's been in, elimination ones, dude has not. I don't know. I just don't. There's like I can't remember other than that game there were like a performance from Josh Allen
I mean,
in an elimination where it's like,
there was the game against New England where the Bills just spanked New England for
oh yeah,
60 minutes of heartwarming, gut-loving football. Like,
but you knew that was going to happen though, right? Like even
yeah, I
though
mean,
it's
everybody
Bill
knew they were going to
Belichick,
win, but nobody was expecting that to happen. And to say that he never
yeah,
played well in the playoffs, I think don't forget that game. Just because it was a blowout doesn't mean it doesn't count.
true,
No, he like
true.
how many other quarterbacks have put that up in the playoffs, even if it was it a wild card or divisional game? I think it was a divisional or wild card round game, but still,
It was
playoffs are
wild card,
playoffs.
yeah.
So
I know.
and
I
like
just I think I'm just sick of him coming up short
I
when in
want
the
them to
regular
be so good.
season he is just so dominant. Yeah,
I want Josh Allen to win his first MVP this year, leading the Bills to their first Super Bowl victory against a way weaker team in the NFC because the NFC stinks this year.
dude.
I
Yeah,
think
I
I
mean,
think it's Philly or San Fran to come out of the NFC this year. I don't really see anyone else being able to top that.
you don't think little old Jordan Love's gonna lead that Packers team to the promised land like
I think Jordan
some of those
Love is going to
delusional Packers fans feel like?
lead that Packers team to a promising season that ends in heartbreak.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think we're gonna win enough
Mm.
games to be hopeful early, only to have a full midseason collapse and be in the top 10 draft picks next year. That's what's gonna happen there.
I have, and I'm going to stand my ground on this, and I'm probably going to eat my words if he ever ends up being good. But I have not liked Jordan Love since they drafted him. I never understood trading up to get someone who at the time you didn't need when you were so close to a Super Bowl appearance. And I just think that I don't know. I
Can
just
I
don't
just
see it
take
happening.
this time to say
I
that
don't
the
see him panning
Packers
out.
could have had Jalen Hurts?
Yeah.
We traded up for Love when Hurts went in the second round.
Yeah. So
That
he's
picture
got
of
and
Love Hurts where they're standing next to each other. Boy,
mhm,
it does,
mhm.
doesn't it?
Well, and he just yeah, he's got I mean,
I'm hearing a lot
I
of promise.
people are saying, "Well, don't have high expectations." It's like, no, actually I do have high expectations
This
because
is
they
the
traded
NFL.
up to
You
draft
show up
him.
to
So,
win.
yeah.
You're a first
Yeah.
round pick who got to sit
Hmm.
behind the greatest quarterback to ever throw a football. Like the
Yep.
greatest thrower of the football. You got to sit behind him for 3 years. If you can't win, then what are you doing? Like, okay,
Mm.
let me walk that back a little bit. If you can't be good, because it's like if
Yeah.
the defense is bad this year, which I think it will be, that's not his fault. But
Right.
if he throws for
And
if he throws for 30 touchdowns and 3,500 yards this year, that's a good quarterback. That's good quarterback play.
it's a great yeah. Hmm.
I would
And
take
like
that every
I'm
year
not
from him.
yeah, I'm not asking him to be Aaron Rodgers. I just want him to be manageable,
I
serviceable. I
don't
want
want
him
him to be
to
Russell Wilson.
no. And hopefully, with him, I guess hopefully Matt LaFleur will finally lean into the running game for once and actually use Aaron Jones more than just the first quarter and the fourth quarter.
What do you
That's also a
think
hot take.
about AJ Dillon?
Uh, dude, I love me some Quadzilla. Like that dude is he's massive. He's a I don't know, and he loves Wisconsin too. Like he always talks about Door County and just like wants to like lit. He just feels like a guy that has really embraced the culture of where he kind of landed. But man, there are some games where he just frustrates the hell out of me, and maybe it's just the play calling. They don't put him in a position to get a couple yards, but sometimes it just feels like on these like fourth or third and shorts, man, he's not getting the yards. They're like he does have flashes, and there are times where he's just like a bulldozer, just trailblazer. He's just fucking hauling and like unstoppable. But sometimes it just like it's so underwhelming. Sometimes you're just like waiting for him to just be this Derrick Henry almost esque player, right? Like he's so big and like he should just be able to just knock people to the ground, like be untackleable. But sometimes he just doesn't show up that way.
As
I
some
like him. I do. Like he's a super likable guy. He's a decent like second option at running back. But man, I fucking love Aaron Jones.
as someone who has
He's the man.
Williams 33 for the Broncos, I got to taste a little bit of what it's like to have that. I'm gonna put your body in the ground type of running back.
Right.
Like that guy, and until he got hurt, he was it. Yeah, he was it. And then to see what he can do, and then look at AJ Dillon, is just frustrating a little bit. Like, dude,
Hmm. Hmm.
don't try to be that other type of back. You're not that guy. Just run him over.
Yeah,
Put your heel in the
exactly.
ground and get in there. You know, you're bigger than these second level players that are coming in and finishing you off. Run them the fuck over. Show me some
Yeah.
smash mouth power football from him. That's what I want to see from AJ Dillon this year.
Yeah, same. And I think they'll. I just hope. I have no faith in LaFleur. I just hope he fucking runs the ball, dude. Run the fucking ball. I swear to God.
I
Use
agree.
Aaron Jones. He's the best. I mean, he's not the best in the league, but he's like the best offensive option they have at this point. Like we were talking the other day, it's like, well, and speaking of Watson, I read on Twitter that he's been dropping balls in practice. So not surprised. Uh, but also like, dude, it's your second year,
Dude,
and
he's got to be if like he talent wise, he's got to be wide receiver one, right?
yeah, he does. And then Dobbs has to be two, I think. And it's interesting because like, if you look at Devonte Adams' sophomore year, he couldn't catch a cold, dude.
Oh,
He was horrible. And
I
so I've
famously
learned
would
to just
bitch every game that Devonte
same
Adams
dude.
stinks and he's not gonna be on the Packers for after his rookie contract. I said it every game.
Yeah, I was in that clan too of just like saying, hey, like this guy can't catch a cold. He's terrible. Get him off the team. But knowing what he turned into, so now I'm just like tabling my expectations, right? It's like, well, I want to be this like super reactionary, like prisoner of the moment person of like, oh my God, like what have you done for me lately? But I know with some of these young guys, like, Christian Watson, like where he's shown flashes of his speed and like just being able to outrun people and get open and catch touchdowns. Like I want that to be his game, but so I'm just like I'm not going to write him off for the drops still this early. I was pissed off last year the first game, obviously, but I think that was still like having the Devonte thing, the fallout with him being so fresh, and then that's like my first exposure to the result of that, where they go and draft, and it's like a perfectly thrown 75-yard touchdown pass that hits him in the hands, and it's like the
Watches it
classic
fall. Yep.
Butterfingers meme.
Yep. Whoop.
So it's like oh, so I'm tabling, but I just yeah, dude, Aaron Jones is the best player on that offense. He might be the best player on the team, aside from Jair
No,
Alexander.
Jair is the best on that team.
Yeah.
No question. Jair is like the heart and soul of that defense.
Hmm.
He's too good to not be. But I want to kind of look around the league a little more and kind
Sure.
of see what's been going on in training camp because like shit is just crazy right now. We already hinted at it a little bit with Burrow being out with the
Yeah.
Bengals, but like we've got the Bengals coming up on who was it? Who are they playing?
In the preseason, they're playing
Yeah.
the Packers the first
Yeah,
week.
they're playing the Packers. There it is. We
Hmm.
got the Bengals coming up with to Green Bay, and I'm just thinking
Hmm.
like I think Burrow's gonna be fine for the start of the season. I think he's gonna miss the preseason. He's gonna miss camp, but
Dude, you're
he might miss week one.
yeah.
But
I
that
just
guy's tough. He's tough,
I know. I
and
love Joe Burrow so much. He's like God. He's such a cool guy. He's so likable. I think.
he is the real Joe Cool, for real.
And it's just anytime there's a non-contact injury in football, it's just like that, like where somebody like they're like instantly hobbled or like fall to the ground. Like I think of Jordy Nelson when he tore his ACL
Mm-hmm.
that one year. Like it's just so scary because like yeah, okay, it's a calf strain, but like your mind goes to like Achilles, like all this other like more severe shit. Like oh, that was just kind of scary. Yeah, there's no chance he's playing preseason. I hope he can start week one. But speaking of that game, do you think Jay Love plays in the preseason?
I think he should.
I do too, but like, dude, I mean, are they gonna at
Like
least a couple series, right? Like he's got to get
I
some.
don't think he's gonna play against the Bengals. If he does, it's gonna be like maybe first quarter, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it seems that now around the league that it's the game 2 of the preseason that was almost like like the in the old days game 3 where the starters get play that full half and the ones kind of get a chance to go up against other ones, really get it going. You know, like before all this preseason drama started, that's how it used to be. And I think game 2 now is kind of turning into that. So I wouldn't look for him to really do much against Cincinnati.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm
Oh
looking
man, it's
around
good.
at like the other NFC North team that I don't hate. Detroit, them and the Giants. Those two teams are in for something this year.
I
What do you
agree.
think? What do you think about those? Everyone's
I
saying Detroit's going to win the division this year. There's a lot of people on the Detroit to win it this year.
Dude, don't sleep on Jared Goff, man.
I've
That
been
dude
saying
is
that
he.
since he's been in California, in LA.
Yeah, I think like, and I think you look at the Rams' success, and like that was when Todd Gurley was performing well, and so obviously, like when you can run the ball that well, it sets up great for throwing, and like he's one of those guys. Like he's not like your superstar, like Mahomes esque, Rodgers esque quarterback. He's one of those guys. He's what we want Jordan Love to be, right? Like we want him to be serviceable,
I
game
think
manager,
people
like
forget about the highest scoring game in NFL
of
history.
all time. Yeah, he was in it.
He won it.
Yeah, yeah,
The Rams won that game. Now there was some
yeah,
defensive play that was at work there, but like they, yeah, they had genius boy wonder Sean McVay, but he was the guy who
yeah.
quarterbacked the winning team of the highest scoring game
Hmm.
against
Yeah,
Patrick
yeah,
Mahomes. Like, dude can ball.
yeah,
He's got it. If you have a
yeah.
coach that believes in you, like I love Sean McVay. Like his personality is so electric. Like I'd run through a wall for that dude just like watching his
Hmm.
interviews.
Well, then what
Same
would you
with
do
same
for
with
Dan
Dan
Campbell?
Campbell. I would run backwards through a wall doing a handstand, eating
Yeah,
kneecaps. Like
yeah, dude.
that guy, good lord. But
I yeah,
I think
I
Sean McVay gave up on Jared Goff. I don't think Jared
yes.
Goff was bad. I think Sean McVay gave up on him.
Hmm. When I think when they played like his last game with the Rams was that playoff game against the Packers when he had like the hurt wasn't his
I
thumb
don't
injured or something on his
he
throwing hand?
I think that was his last game. I didn't think he played very much in there. I think they used a couple different because I think Wolford was on the team at that point, and
But Goff definitely started that game. I thought he played most of it.
I think he got hurt and then sent someone else in and then brought him back in. I can't
Okay.
remember. That game was like it was a good football game, but it was kind of a snooze fest a little bit until the Rams started to creep up a little.
Hmm.
But that's just
Yeah,
one
I
of those
so I
forgettable playoff team or playoff games that had like no actual implications because Green Bay got ran the fuck over by Tampa Bay.
yeah.
I say that
Uh
because of that
that's
play before the half, but
yeah, no, we
I
yeah,
I
we'll do
think
a we'll do an episode where we go through Rogers playoff losses. That's gonna take
for
like
sure
that'll
that's
I
gonna
don't
be
want to relive that stuff right now.
that might be a series, a loss of the week, a Rogers loss of the
Yes.
week. There we go.
Yes.
But
Um
I'm
but
looking at New York and Detroit right
Danny
now.
Dimes, dude. Danny Dimes, you
Danny
you
Dimes
you feel that way
stinks.
about him?
He stinks.
I
That's not
know.
happening again. I
I
love
hope not.
Stable as a coach, but that's
Mhm.
unless Barkley can carry the mother load, and for him, that mostly involves just staying healthy. That team ain't going back, and they're certainly not gonna. They're not gonna be the trap game against Philly or anyone like that again. I honestly think that Detroit would be the better team to go than New York.
And for all those listening, we are in agreement that we hate the Vikings and we hate the Bears. But I think we just feel bad for the Lions, basically. And so
I
that's
don't think I can hate the Lions. Like I don't
yeah,
like
yeah,
them. I don't want them to
nah,
win, but
mhm,
like especially with Dan Campbell down there, they're a likable like group of guys. Like nobody talks
yep,
about them. They're
no,
just gritty, hardworking guys who just never can seem to win because fuck the Lions. I don't know. It's like I have no hatred towards that team. I just have they're there, you know.
yeah, yep.
looking around, Buffalo, Indianapolis, preseason week 1.
Yeah,
What do
I
you think? What
mean
do you
the
think
Colt,
Buffalo's going to be this year? Do you think Anthony Richardson plays that game?
dude. I would imagine so. Yeah, I think the Colts preseason is going to be more interesting if people are like to those people following them. Like they're going to be more interesting than the Bills. I think. I think a lot of these teams with these, with these like bona fide quarterbacks, like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Jets. Um, I guess would you say the Ravens with Lamar? I don't know. I feel like some of these teams that have these like quarterbacks that are solidified, like the preseason's kind of not going to be super exciting just because you kind of know what you're going to be getting in the regular. Like there's like you're not hoping someone's going to turn out or show flashes of greatness because those people already have and they're not playing in those games or they're playing like a series.
I think that like whoever makes the preseason schedule should start looking at like I know that there's a process for the regular season schedule, but some of these matchups just seem like really fun to watch. I'm looking
Hmm.
at Baltimore, Philly, New York, and or the Jets in Carolina, New York and the Giants in Detroit. Like these are fun looking matchups that I would
Hmm.
love to see with like playoff implications and seeding, and there's not enough games in a season at all.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to
Wow.
look
The
at
chart.
one more
Sure.
because the Battle of LA in the preseason,
Hmm.
Chargers Rams.
Yeah.
LA is the Rams are the LA team, right?
Yes.
Do you think there's anyone who's going to show up to that stadium in a Chargers jersey?
I would say probably like two people.
So, I like I want to see how Matt Stafford's going to do this year. I want to see
Dude.
him play in a preseason game, before it matters. But I also know he won't because they are going to wrap that man in bubble wrap every time he's not in a game.
Yes.
That guy's gonna be walking around with pillows like taped to him like some shit out of a cartoon.
Like the body cast guy in SpongeBob
Yes,
who
breaks
breaks his
his
legs every
arms,
morning and yeah.
glass bones, and paper skin.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I forgot about Stafford, honestly. That's going to be a huge question mark because
Well,
they were terrible last year.
let me ask you this: Is it gonna be Stafford comes back and now they're a playoff contender? Do you think they're like because they're not beating San Fran this year,
I think
but do you
their
think them in
ceiling
Seattle will fight it out? Be that
their
second team to
season
get in?
their, sure, their ceiling is a 7 seed, I think.
I think so too,
Hmm.
unless some of these guys on defense who you've never heard of are studs and we just don't know it yet.
Right. Right.
But the
Yeah.
Chargers, that team's their ceiling is a wild card loss, right? Like I don't care how good
Uh
Herbert is, that team never
yeah.
they're someone's gonna get hurt. I think
Yeah.
they did the right thing by drafting this year. I think they filled up their depth chart a little bit, but like the Brandon
Hmm.
Staley's a clown. Like he's the reason they lost that game.
Yeah.
And then they hired, Kellen Moore as an offensive coordinator. So Herbert is going to be an MVP candidate this year, but do you think it'll matter?
Right. I mean, where do you see them finishing in your AFC West?
I see them as the second place in the West, behind the Raiders,
Behind
obviously.
sec second to last, you mean?
No, I was just making fun of the Raiders. No, the
Oh.
Chiefs are going to win the division like they always
Yeah.
do. I do think this year that 15 losses over or the 15 in a row wins over the Broncos, that's going to stop this year.
Sure.
The
I can
Broncos
agree
are
with that
getting
too.
one this year. This year is our year.
I
We're
can agree
beating
with
the
that.
Chiefs for the first time since the Super Bowl year. It's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
the Chargers are gonna get second. Broncos, I see the Broncos being like an 8-9 team or a 9-8 team and missing the playoffs. I don't think a year is quick enough to fix what's wrong with the Broncos. But the Raiders, McDaniels is a fool. That they're gonna trade Josh Jacobs at the deadline, and that team's gonna be competing for the first overall pick.
Dude, that would not be a bad idea this year with the quarterbacks coming up in the draft.
What's his bucket? Caleb Williams, I
hmm
think.
Yeah. I
He'll be
mean,
good.
man, should the Packers just tank it too and
I don't believe in
get
tanking.
that? Yeah, I don't either, but we
Like
want that.
we might not have to. We might not have to tank. We might just be there. But we also have to realize that the Cardinals and the Texans are still in the NFL.
They are.
So
Yeah.
and the
Dude, what if Jordan Love though does pan out? I mean, that's just it could potentially be like 3.5 decades of just QB dominance from the Packers. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it did, that'd be fucking hilarious for all the other teams in the
I
NFC
think a
North.
better story is Jordan Love stinks it up, gets hurt in week 7, and his nameless, faceless backup, who I don't even know who it is, comes up and becomes that guy. That would be the story of the century right there, where it's just,
Mhm.
you know, like, and I'm not ever gonna say someone should get hurt, but like I think it would just be so incredible to like be like, yeah, this is gonna be the guy, and then it's not the guy, but the guy who you accident, like the Brock Purdy of San Francisco.
Right,
You
right.
know,
Mhm.
that preseason has a lot of implications.
Dude, it really does. Because you've got Trey Lance still, Brock
Like,
Purdy. Who do they play the first week? Oh, they play
I
the
mean, if you
Raiders
if you
in.
pay attention to what Shanahan's been saying, Brock Purdy is the one right now.
Damn, what a story. Good on that kid.
Like,
It's such a shame that he
it's
got
got to
hurt
be
in the
his
playoffs.
job to lose.
Yeah. Let me be clear, I hate the 49ers. Like I can't stand them and it's just because of years of Rodgers losing to them in the playoffs that has like fueled my hatred for that team. But goddamn, Kyle Shanahan is a hell of a coach.
Kyle Shanahan should have been a Broncos coach.
Should have.
I'm never forgiving John Elway for that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Okay,
find
so
who San Francisco. Oh, here it is. San Francisco plays Oakland week 1 for preseason.
that'd be kind of weird because there's no team in Oakland anymore.
Oh, the Raiders, Vegas. I'm
Just giving you
still not
shit.
used to it. I'm
I
never
know.
gonna get. I got the LA for the Chargers right. I'm never gonna
hmm
get the Raiders right because Vegas is too good for that breed of scum. So, um, they've got, a pretty mediocre defense in Las Vegas, especially if for a preseason game. Who do you think starts for the 49ers? Do you think it's Purdy or Lance for that preseason game?
It, it'll be Purdy. He'll go out for the first series probably.
Do you think it's going to be more of like a battle for it, or do you think it's actually like Purdy's the one, it's his job to lose?
Yes.
I think that football politics is gonna be the determining factor there. I think that if Purdy plays okay in that first game, in the second game we're gonna see Lance because he's the third overall pick who they've invested 3 ones
Right.
into. Like they have
Right.
they like. Do you think John Lynch would go down to Shanahan and be like, "You've got to try it again with this kid and see what happens"?
I mean, yeah, but also like if he's not the guy, he's not the guy.
I'm hearing rumors
Like,
that Darnold would be too over Lance.
that's interesting. Because I think I mean but this is right. Preseason is that time where this is where you test those things. Like, there's no implications if you throw him in there, right? Like, it's not like like do or die. But if he balls out, great. But if he doesn't, like it's not an implication on, or it's not like tarnishing your overall record for the season, right? Because it doesn't matter. So I think like the preseason would be that'd be the time where Lynch goes down and is like, "Hey man, you got to put this fucking guy in because
You think we see like Purdy in the first half Lance in the second in week 1, and then Lance in the first half, week 2, Purdy in this,
Depends on
and then in the
depends
week
on how
3,
it
it's
goes.
just all Sam Darnold.
Dude, it depends on how it goes.
I,
They've had a QB carousel there for a long ass
if
time now.
I'm
I
a
feel
if
like.
I like I'm a Broncos fan, right? And we literally have a carousel graphic for our QBs that gets shown every game, especially on CBS. And I'm sick of it. I can only imagine what the 49ers fans feel like because they had guys. Like their guys don't stink. Like I still think Garoppolo is a decent quarterback if he can stay healthy. And then since they've signed him, he can't stay healthy. It's like I have a different starter every single year. They got to be getting sick of it, right?
Yeah, but then the frustrating thing is they still do well.
Yeah, you got to be thinking like, man, if
You
we could
know,
just get one QB to last 16 games, we're gonna go back to the Super Bowl.
right?
I think this year they're going back this year. I think this is
Dude,
it.
it's not exactly a hot take. I'm not gonna fight you on that one.
I'm not trying to make a hot take.
Um,
I'm making a smart take here. If I wanted to make a hot take, I'd say the
smart
Cowboys are
take.
going to the Super Bowl because those clowns are never going back.
Dude, this is the best time of year. The best time of year for football because Cowboys and Bears fans keep telling us that they have a chance.
Bears fans need to chill out. They need to relax.
They've
Bears fans need to
they've
relax.
needed to chill. Yeah, they need to chill out and they need to stop referencing 1985. So
Guess what, you guys? Your defense isn't that good.
no,
Your
and Fields
defense
isn't
isn't
either.
that good.
Sorry.
And Fields, I love this time of year because everybody's feeling good. Everybody's like, oh yeah, this is the best this player's looked or thrown.
Hmm.
Fields is gonna get hit a lot this year. He's gonna hit a lot. Like
Preston Smith
they have
and Kenny
DJ
Clark
Moore, who
are
is
coming for his ass.
naturally wanna be like a stretch the field type of guy to pick up those big chunk plays. And Fields, as elusive as he isn't gonna have time for that. So if they're gonna structure that offense, they need to have like a lot of like tight ends staying in the block, running backs chipping guys off the line. So Justin Fields isn't running for his life because it doesn't matter how accurate you are if you're not like if you're making off balance throws every play, you know?
Right, right.
And like
Yeah.
The Bears fans act like they've won the Super Bowl because they have a decent receiver now. It's like, well, no,
And
wrong.
you know these social media teams are only posting like the highlight plays. Like they're not going to show all the clowning that Fields is doing. You
Yeah,
know,
all like because like the thing I can't figure out about Fields watching him over the last basically like season and a half is does he make smart decisions with the football? Because from an outsider's perspective, it really just feels like um he just when push comes to shove and he has to make a hard decision, he just takes off running.
yeah.
Like can he be someone who makes good decisions in the pocket when someone's coming off the edge and he can't run off?
I'm going to say maybe, but he has terrible accuracy. So I just don't see him going anywhere
Do you think
unless he's
so you
fixed
don't think it
that.
matters if he can make a good or bad decision because he won't hit his target
No,
anyway?
yeah, no. I don't know, dude. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like all the games that he's played against the Packers so far, I don't like I can't remember like a play where I'm just like, holy shit, like this guy's going to be a terror for us for the next however long. He just doesn't get never gives me that impression.
I think he's going to have Lamar syndrome where
Mm,
especially as he continues to, I mean, he's still young, right? This is his third year in the
right,
league.
right, right.
But as he gets old, as he gets up into those higher 20s, he's gonna have Lamar syndrome where he's gonna be hurt for half the season every year anyway.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because they got a new OC down in Baltimore and they've got Odell Beckham now. Do you think that changes the offense as much? Do you think Lamar's not gonna run as much because if they keep him healthy, they are a better team with him on the field.
Yeah. The other thing is, does Odell stay healthy? And how old is he now? Like, does he just because he's him, like, doesn't mean like now he's still him.
I
He
I
was
want to
him, but is he
say
still
that
him?
Odell is probably going to be in the best shape he's been in since New York.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. But it's just a
Because
big wild
he had
card.
so much time to heal and rehab by sitting out last year. He got hurt in the Super Bowl and he didn't play any football for like over a year. Signs with Baltimore now. Like I think this is gonna be his best chance to be Odell again. I think
Yeah,
because Lamar's gonna make a few throws where Odell is gonna have to be Odell to bail him out a little bit. That's if you look at when Lamar throws a lot, they happen more. Just like Eli Manning, you make some boneheaded decisions of almost not catchable balls that Odell's gonna have to go get. I
right,
think
right. Yeah. God, there's so many interesting storylines this year. I feel like the NFL is usually full of them, but
the
this year,
script
for
writers
whatever reason,
are really on something this year. I think,
yeah,
but I think
yeah.
that the last one I think I want to talk about is over in the New England land. New England and New
New England.
Orleans are two teams that I want to talk about before the end here because there's a lot that is playing on. I think New Orleans is going to win their division this year, and I think this year if we don't see New England back in the playoffs, I think Bill might be done in New England. I think his seat's getting hot.
Mm, yeah, I can agree with that. So the Saints got to beat out the Bucks, the
I
Panthers,
don't
and
think
the
that's going to be
Falcons.
hard. Like
Yeah,
I think the
who's
Falcons give them the best competition. I like a lot of the moves
mhm.
they made in the offseason. I'm not sure how their quarterback situation is going to play out over there in Atlanta.
You don't think Baker Mayfield's going to lead the Bucks to the promised land?
I don't know. I I like Baker Mayfield, but no.
But no.
Look at like Baker Mayfield and Tom Brady where he was towards the end of last year are about at the same level of talent. And
Yeah.
look at what happened to the Bucks. They were fighting and clawing. I don't think they're gonna go down without a fight, but I think the Saints can win that division pretty easily. And Carolina's gonna have to wait a year or two to be good.
I think New England just deserves the hangover, dude. They were
I
so good for so
agree,
long, and like this is like, yeah, you got however many Super Bowls, and now this is your time to suffer, and that's what's happening.
welcome back to the rest of the NFL.
Reality, yep, and reality, and
But
how things usually go for a lot of
I
teams.
think that they are actually going to be good. I think every team in the East this year has a chance to be in the wild card at
Mm.
minimum.
I I think they're gonna finish last in the division.
I think if we were ever going to see a four-team division or playoff entry, it would be this year with the East. I think.
You got that faith in Billy, huh?
I don't think it's about him. I think he's going to be as good as always. But I think this year with Bill O'Brien, with um, Mac Jones, it's gonna like that offense is gonna actually score points this year. They might not be like top 10, but I don't think they have to be with the defense they always have over there.
Yeah.
So like, cause think about it, like the AFC, one of two things is gonna happen. I think where all of the AFC East teams are good, or all of them just beat up on each other and have nothing left for the rest of the league. That's what I think is gonna happen there. So
I mean, yeah, I guess with all this, we'll just have to see, and it'll be kind of fun to just each week to see what happens and
so
talk about it.
for anybody
So
who's
you're
out
so
there watching this, I want you to clip any of the boneheaded shit that I've said today. So that way, when it's come time for me to, eat my words, take my lumps this year, I will I'll have to do that. That's gonna be a fun segment at the end of the year. How wrong was I? How wrong were we?
yes.
You know.
How wrong were we? And I do not have any faith in Jordan Love, and I hope I'm wrong. And I will be happy to watch a clip of reels of myself eating my own words about him if he ends up being good this year,
I can't wait
or at
to
any point.
I can't wait to create a TikTok account to post some of the stupid shit that comes out of our mouths here, only to watch the comments months later tell us how dumb we are.
Yeah.
That's gonna
I got
probably
I
be
got
like
thick skin. You can't bring me down, community. You can't take me down. I'll be fine.
I see that as a challenge, folks.
I survived. I survived the 2014 NFC Championship game against Seattle. I can survive anything.
I survived the Larry Fitzgerald play in 2016. No,
Yeah,
was that 2016?
2015. It was
Yeah,
the 2015 playoffs. Yeah,
yeah. I was hoping for a
yeah.
Denver Green Bay Super Bowl, and we got Carolina instead because that Arizona team was fraudulent.
Yeah, they were terrible. And the Panthers were fraudulent too.
Yeah, they were. That whole
Yep.
the NFC, it's always kind of a theme. Like the Eagles were good in 17. Atlanta was good in 16. LA was good in 18.
hmm
The rest of the league is like LA shouldn't have even been in that championship, that Super Bowl. That should have been New Orleans, but
Yep.
all those teams are fraudulent. The NFC has just been weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So your thoughts on the AFC West? So you think it's going to be the Chiefs, the Broncos, the and then is it the Chargers or the Raiders in the third and fourth?
I'd swap the Chargers with the Broncos. It's going to be Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
I think
Chiefs.
that
Okay.
Chiefs and I think the Broncos and Chargers, it's going to come down to the end of the season.
Sure.
I think they're both going to be close to 9-8, and they'll have to kind of fight it out for who gets second place in the division there. And
Okay.
I think that's where some of those December games that Russell Wilson can't win are going to come back to bite the Broncos, though.
Sure.
All right, now
Well, I think
I want your take. Give me the NFC North.
sure. Yeah, I mean, we were hyping up the Lions earlier, and I kind of want to stay on that train, dude. I think the Lions are going to win the division. They're going to get a home playoff game for the first time in like 150 years, however long it's been since they last had one. I think the Vikings will come in second. Pains me to say that, but I just like Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk, Kirky. I don't know, all these clown names that I've called him over the last couple of years, and watching that quarterback show on Netflix. Uh, he's one of those. He is one of those game managers, man. But then he always ends up choking, like throwing it 2 yards on 4th and 8 with the season on the line.
That play is his
And
career in a nutshell.
And his excuse was, and he said on that show, he was like, "Well, Justin Jefferson was covered. He was double covered." It's like, well, okay, he's the best receiver on your team, and it's the season's on the line. Like what's the worst that's going to happen? You throw a pick. It would have been the same result as throwing it to Hawkinson 2 yards down the field. Anyway. Sorry, I could rant about
That's still strange.
that clown team for years.
Viking. That one.
I know. But all that to say, they're going to come in second place. They're probably going to be in the wild card. In the wild card, won some game against some other team on that weekend in the playoffs.
All right,
the Packers,
folks.
I think, will fit. The Packers, I think, will finish third because the Bears still suck.
All right, folks, you heard it here first. Book it. You've got our West and North predictions. I think next week we'll do like a whole what do we think, because preseason will be ready to start, and I think we'll do like a game breakdown for that and see where we think everyone's going to work out preseason, which is so hard to predict because you don't know who's playing when. So,
and we're going to be football heavy to start, but you bet your ass we're going to mix in NHL, NBA as those seasons kind of start up too. Maybe talk a little baseball when the playoffs start if there's any skin in the game.
I think
for the Twins.
I think that we should cover baseball less because fucking Rockies are a joke. I watched them lose to the worst team in baseball last night.
Yeah, pain.
I don't want any photo evidence of me being at that game. That was embarrassing.
Like I said, the only way we need to talk about it is if the Twinkies get in the dance. And since they haven't won a playoff game in 20 years and have lost 18 in a row or whatever it is.
Episode on the Twins.
Yeah. It would take
All right.
Of course, I might want to rant about it in the next episode, but Yeah, that's neither here nor there. But
Uh,
yeah, excited to start this journey with whoever cares to listen. And
and we'll get a lot less awkward about it as we go too. It'll be
yeah,
great.
yeah,
All right,
we'll bring in
folks.
new segments and
Maybe some
we'll have
guests
some
here and
creative.
there, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. But all right, man.
All
Let's.
right,
I'm pumped. Football season's here and we're
let's
in
do
full
it.
swing. So let's get it going.
All right, that's been Midwest Sports.